What if you took paint and just threw it in the air and it came down and it made a beautiful landscape? Where the paint itself was not hyper-controlled, but it came into its form naturally through just like divine fiat. That's basically what I'm going for. I try to collaborate as if God was painting a landscape and he was just doing this and the hillside was swept into its place or said, I want that there. That's where this kind of style came from. So you're having like abstract expressionism, 16th, 17th century Northern Renaissance landscape painting. You're having 20th century semi-abstraction. I will often just like build a landscape. I may have one reference, but oftentimes I'll take something like, I don't like that sky, then I'll find the sky from a Renaissance painting and just throw it in there. Like, when I did a lot of paintings from Ireland, sometimes the sky wasn't as nice as I wanted in Ireland, so I'll just like take a painting from the Renaissance and throw it in there. And there's paintings that are sold that I've seen over the years that are Renaissance. I mean, the sky is from the 1600s. I was actually just messing around and I just did some scrub out and I was like, oh, I just did this. And I printed it and it was like a distance landscape looking down, like an abstract space that looked like semi-abstract. That was the moment that like actually changed. I was like, oh, I recognized that like this is the perspective. It gives you a visionary perspective and the details are secondary to the vast perspective. As I looked through art history, I saw that you'd have this late Baroque, late Renaissance, Northern Renaissance, where you would have these vast distance panoramas. It's called a God's eye perspective. So it was like set way high up in the air to suggest that this is God's space and this is man's space. It would give you a different perspective and a feeling. And in the work, I focused it in just enough so you know what you're kind of looking at, but not so much where it's about the thing you're looking at. It's really about the light and the experience and the presence of the space. I resist overly describing and drawing things out where the paint stops being paint. If it becomes something else, I carefully do it in a way that it could be something else and be, I'll just put it metaphorically, unhewn rocks at the same time. 80% of the colors are blues and greens, very few reds, which I do use, some yellows, which I use. I have my range of yellows, but my blues and my greens are over 60% of my palette. There is a world beyond what we see that's way more dynamic than this world, right in our midst. Like Jesus said, the kingdom of God is in your midst. I call it sanctifying the imagination. So this goes along with color theory. So I'm both painting naturally, but I'm also like, in the back of my mind, I'm seeing more to express what's going on beneath the surface without illustrating it. Spiritual illustrators who are like, here's an angel, here's this, here's like light coming down, and it becomes almost like fantasy art. For me, I'm like giving a little bit of like color information that's beyond. I don't stop until I'm feeling the painting do this. And I know it's not in true realism, but I can't help it. What happens if your lens was cleared and you were actually able to partner with God and to look at the world around you, how He sees the world? It's what inside of my soul, my spirit is telling me this is where this needs to be. I mean, there's some color theory involved, but really it's like how I look at the world. This painting could have been done months ago, but I recognize there's something more to this. I'm not exactly done with it. It's probably 80% to 90% done, but there's something about it that's not exactly right yet. And figuring out what that is. Sometimes it's too much information, sometimes it's too little. Sometimes the color space is not right. It's not gonna be as formulaic as me saying, oh, I'm pulling this complementary theory and secondary. It's not like that for me. It's something a little bit more intuitive and filled with prayer and presence. I believe that God's people shine super bright when they're in the middle of culture because the world is looking for truth. I was praying and listening to the Lord and the Lord said, Chris, you're about to see a great and mighty miracle, a mystical miracle happen today that you've never seen before. I was like, what is gonna happen? I have no idea what he's talking about. I went to the show that night, saw the gallery owner, and I went home and I was like, that wasn't really that miraculous. I got an email that next morning from somebody I'd never met saying, hey, I came to the show, I saw your work, I really want to talk to you about your work, and can I meet you at your studio? It's like, sure. This lady comes to my door, and the moment she opens the door, I hear the Lord say, I'm calling this lady today. And I'm thinking everything is business. I'm thinking she's coming here to buy a painting. She goes, I'm gonna tell you why I'm here. I saw your paintings, I looked at them, I said, oh, those are nice. I turned around and I looked at them again, and she goes, all I can tell you is like something divine came over me, And my life was changed. I knew that I needed to find this artist, and he would tell me who God was and how I would serve him for the rest of my life, and that's why I'm here. And at that moment, I recognized that God can actually rest on things. He will actually rest on the work that you do, and the door will become a window into heaven. My hope is that the work will go out there in the world, and it'll be something different, it'll be something original, it'll be something that is an invitation to people for more. They'll sit in a place and someone will say, there's something different about this work, like that woman did. Like, what's going on in this painting? Why am I feeling this feeling? Why am I feeling like the answers to all of my heart's desire is somewhere behind this painting?